Hello everyone, welcome back in part 2 of Windows Server 2022. Today we're gonna promote the server to a domain controller and we also gonna configure DNS. So if I remember correctly, the last time when we left off, we have configured automatic updates on the server, we have configured some services. We managed to do a script that is cleaning all of the events from the event log. Thanks to that, we can manage all the events in the real time in our server manager. We can just scratch all of them and start from the beginning. Just restart the server and see what's going on if we need to fix anything. We also disabled TLS 1.0 and 1.1. Okay, so let's go to the server. First of all, we need to take care of, at least I need to take care of those services that are here going down. Okay, so let's see what kind of services we need to take care of. All right. So diagnostic policy. So this one. Let's find diagnostic policy service. Okay, let's change that. Update or orchestrator. User access. And transaction coordinator. Okay. Okay, if it goes to the clipboard user service, probably this one's gonna be a little bit tricky, at least in my case. If you have the same kind of errors, or you have like a few of them similar, you can always follow this guideline. Probably I won't be able to change this one. Yeah, it cannot be changed. Okay, so we're gonna do it a little bit differently then. That's fine. Okay, so now let's just make a quick restart. Now let's check. Okay, so the only one left was the clipboard, and I think I will actually need to disable this one. Just from the registry. That's gonna be the easiest way. Okay. Right. So, first of all, I'm gonna check in regedit. That's the last stuff from TLS changes. I have here a little note that I can actually use. So let's see. Okay, so I will need to go to this path. Okay, and from what it says, I'll need to locate CBD. Okay, so let's locate CBD then. Probably somewhere around here. Okay, so we have here our clipboard. This is the registry entry that needs to be changed. Of course, 4 means disabled, so I'm gonna change both of them here. Again 4, and we can close it down. Can do another restart. Majority of the stuff regarding services, if you have problems on your Windows server, you can always look upon the error on the internet from the event viewer. It's most of the time quite easy to get rid of them, depending on the error, of course. But okay, so now we have fixed all the unnecessary things. Let's check our configuration. Of course, as nitpicky as I am, we have already here generated some additional errors on the server. So even before promoting the server to the main controller or installing DNS, whatever, I always recommend to check what's going on here in the logs. Right, so I think actually I will use the script to clear all the logs. I will restart the server once again, so I will only see those most recent and most relevant errors that occurred, so I can actually take a look what's going on and what needs to be fixed before we can proceed. Okay, so once again, let's check. Now we have a clean log. We should see all the events coming up. Let's see what we got. Okay, so we got, of course, the distributed COM. This is the most common error that always appears on, well, many Windows servers. I read about it. So some people say that it's a permission issue, which it's indicated here. Permission settings are not set good for the CL SID. Here's the registry key of the CL SID. And what we got here? Okay, so the service is not listening at the moment, right? So here's the listener. We can check that up for a moment. So basically it should be listening on those three addresses, right? So this is IPv6, this is localhost, and this is IP address of the server at the time. Okay, so I gotta check if I have anything about that here. Probably yeah, because I was also looking on the internet for some issues just to find a way to resolve them. We can try to actually check something up. Okay, so basically we can use this. So show IP list, so we have no IPs added here. Of course we can add them. So we might just use this guideline and add the necessary IP addresses. So let's add this one. I'm gonna add the IP address of this server. Okay, so now we should have like 2 of them. Fine. Of course, probably this will also require some other things to be done, not only this. If it goes to this error, let's see if I had anything about this one. I think I checked it up before, and like I said, from the registry you could find the CLSID catalog in the registry, and then you would need to find the key that is specified here. And if I remember it correctly, you would need to modify the permissions on this key, the permissions for your administrators, or add your administrator and give it full permissions. Well, doesn't bother me that much, to be honest, so I will leave it for now. Okay, so let's start with the promotion of our server to a domain controller. So we're gonna go to features. If somebody uses PowerShell, of course, it's fairly easy with PowerShell. I'm gonna do it the old way, the traditional way, I guess. Okay, so I'm gonna check this up. So Active Directory Domain Services, and we're gonna also install DNS. I'm gonna restart the server, yes, after the install is complete. And of course, in the meanwhile, while it's working here, you can always check the event viewer log, system log. And we also have the time service. So we have a problem with the time. Why? I'm gonna show you in a moment, because the thing is, of course, there is no outside time synchronization right now set. So if we go to command prompt, see the status, as you can see, the source is a local CMOS clock, which is bad. You need to have an outside synchronization time. So you need to add a IP here for a server that you will be synchronizing the time with. I think I have all of that set up. I just wanted to wait for the promotion to a domain controller. So for now, we're gonna leave that. But it's very important if you're gonna have a domain. Everything needs to be synchronized with time. Okay, so we got the promotion here. Now we're gonna go here. We're gonna promote this server to a domain controller. Gonna add a new forest. Mine is gonna be called DDR local. Okay, let's wait for a moment. Right, so we can of course choose from all the Windows servers that we have here. I don't know why we don't have 2019, only we have 2016. Well, we can choose whatever we got. So here we need to set the password. We're not gonna create the delegation. Verifying the NetBIOS name assigned to the domain. Okay. I'm just gonna check one more thing. Network sharing. Let's check if everything is turned off. This is not needed. I turn that off. Okay, so my NetBIOS name is just DDR. Okay, and these are the default paths to, of course, the database, the log files, and the sysvol folder. So after we promote this server to a domain controller, there's going to be another error appearing in the events, probably the disk error, and it's gonna be an error regarding caching, because if you have just one disk, like I have here in this test, I got only one local disk. If I had another drive, I would probably, at this moment when I'm doing the installation, I would change the paths to another drive, to like drive D or E or whatever I would have at this moment. Because if you keep everything on one drive, for sure you're gonna have the error that the caching is enabled, and well, the thing to solve it is just to move everything to another disk, while this is actually being done for the first time and installed. Okay, so we can also view the script here if somebody would like to, and now we can just proceed with the installation. And at the moment it's being done, so let's check for the system once again. Let's have a look upon maybe some other errors, if there are any. We have something here. Network connection broker. Okay, next network connection broker has some kind of issue here. Let's check the services network connection broker. It's disabled, that's why it has a problem. Okay, let's do it on automatic. Let's see what, oh, of course, the time synchronization stuff. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, so we got those two warnings here, of course. The first one is about the delegation. The second one is about the delegation. The first one is just saying that the Windows Server domain controllers have a default for the security settings named allowed cryptography algorithms and stuff like that. So to be honest, they even give an article about it if you want to read about it. I don't even have time most of the time to do that kind of stuff. So okay, now what do we have here? If you're integrating with an existing DNS infrastructure, you should manually create a delegation to this DNS server. Yeah, we didn't create a delegation for DNS server, so that's another warning. So, okay, but let's proceed with the installation. Of course, if you have a domain controller, you should also be aware of a failover server. So you should also think about that, because it's very important to have a backup server that will actually keep everything up when one of your servers go down. So you can just configure a failover. But I think I will show this like in another video. Now we're just gonna create all of this. Okay, so everything's restarting. Let's wait a moment. And in a moment we'll see that the domain, my domain DDR, has been created. It doesn't load so fast anymore as it was previously, because we started to configure some additional stuff. So I would also suggest, if you would like to, if you have a strong server, you can put a lot of stuff on it. You can put SUS, those updates for all your computers. You can create a domain controller. You can create DHCP, DNS, quite a lot of services. Actually, you can create even this printer server, print server. Lots and lots of stuff that you can put. Just bear in mind, the more stuff you put on the server, the slower it's gonna get, and the more you put on it, the more errors you're gonna get. So sometimes it's good to split that kind of stuff. If you have a fail over server, another one that is gonna take the role of your server when the first one goes down, it's good to have something also configured on the second one. Okay, so this is taking a little bit time here, applying all the settings. I will pause the video for now, and we'll be back in a moment when it's done. All right. So as you can see, we have DDR here. Password stays the same. And now we need to open our server, and we're gonna see in a moment. I will also need to fix some stuff. Let's go to the server configuration for a moment, to the Ethernet. I'm gonna change the properties here. As you can see, it changed, preferred DNS. So I'm gonna change this because my preferred DNS is gonna be my IP address. And the second one could be Google's. Now let's disable this for a moment, enable once again. And there we have DDR local. So this is how it should be. Okay, so we got a bunch of errors here. We're gonna take care of them as well. Let's go to the dashboard. Okay, so first of all, I'm just gonna clear everything up. So after that, we're gonna make another restart. We're gonna see what's going on, what we need to fix. And now, of course, let's open up our DNS. So let's configure DNS. So this is our DNS. Mine is called, as you can see, the name of this server is DDR-serve. If you open the options, you have a configure DNS server, create default application directory, partitions, new zone, set aging and scavenging for all zones. I'm gonna choose this, click on here. So basically what it does, the time between the most recent refresh of a record timestamp and the moment when the timestamp may be refreshed again. So I recommend setting this for everything. 7 days, depends how many days do you want. Maybe I will keep everything for 5 days. Like, yeah, apply the settings. Okay. Update server data files, of course, clear the cache, right? We can clear the cache. We can do, of course, NS lookup. Okay, so if we go to forward lookup zone, it already created our forward lookup zone. Here is our DDR, and we have here, of course, our first entry. Well, this is our first entry, and this is the second entry. Well, basically all of those entries have been created. So of course, the name server, the first entry of. Okay, so like I said, this is the first entry here, of course, and as you can see, we have like IPv4 of my server here. Okay, so let's go to reverse lookup zone. We're gonna create a reverse lookup zone here. So we're gonna choose here primary zone, of course, store the zone in Active Directory. Gonna choose this option, IPv4 reverse lookup zone, and here I'm gonna put my 3 first octets of my network. So there you go. I'm gonna choose allow only secure dynamic updates as the first. I'm not gonna choose the second option, allow both non-secure and secure dynamic updates. If you wish, you can always choose that. I'm always sticking to the default one. And that's it. That's our forward lookup zone. We got 2 entries. We have to go inside here, and we need to go to name servers. As you can see, the IP address is unknown. We need to actually resolve this. So we're gonna resolve the name of my server. I'm gonna, of course, delete the first entry because the first entry is IPv6. And here it is resolved. It's fine. We can check once again. Okay. And applying the changes. So we got 2 entries in our reverse lookup zone. And what we will need to do now, we'll need to create a pointer that will actually point to our server. So this is our server entry. And we have here an option called Update Associated Pointer, PTR record. So we need to click that. We're gonna apply the changes. And it's gonna create in our reverse lookup zone a pointer that is gonna be pointing to our server. So there we go. Now all we need to do, we need to go to our reverse lookup zone and we need to refresh here. And there we go, we have our pointer pointing to our server. So just bear in mind, don't create a new pointer, because if you do, and you will then go here and you will actually in properties take this on, it will create 2 pointers, the one that you created yourself and the one that will be created automatically. So don't do it, because too many pointers is too bad. It's gonna be confused, so just bear in mind. Okay, so what we have here, we can create a host A or AAA, which is an IPv4 or IPv6 entry. We can create an alias CNAME, of course, if we would like to. And we can create a new mail exchanger, right? So I'm gonna create an alias. I'm gonna just call it server. And I want it to be the same as parent. So I'm gonna choose this option. And now I'm gonna have a CNAME entry that is pointing to my DDR server. Okay, so basically, let's go to DNS once again. We're gonna clear the cache. Okay. And now we're gonna go to CMD. We need to run it as an administrator. And we're gonna do ipconfig flush DNS. So we're gonna flush all the unnecessary cache. And next we're gonna register DNS. So I'm just gonna restart everything. Well, it's loading a little bit long. Need to wait a moment. So after all the changes, we can log in again. So we have created a domain controller, we have updated the DNS. We can take a look on our server. What do we have here? Of course, I need to go here and change it again because that's a VirtualBox thing. You won't need to do it on your server. Right. So let's see what we have here. So we're gonna do an lookup, and there we go. As you can see, everything is how it's supposed to be. We got the default server, we got the IP address. If we go to DNS, we go to the forward lookup zone, we can check also my alias and the name of the server. So we're gonna check first the name of the server, and then we're gonna check the alias, and everything works. We should also check if resolving IP addresses works like it should. So first of all, we'll need to check some kind of IP address, or maybe first we'll check the name. So we're gonna do ping. We're gonna do, let's say, ping.marvel.com. We're gonna check if it resolves the name. It does, it resolves an IP address, and now we need to check back. So we're gonna do a ping -a, and we're gonna try to resolve the IP address to the name. And as you can see, everything works. Cloudfront.net, so it resolved like it should. Okay, so I think that's all if it goes to DNS. Of course, we have a bunch of issues here in the event log that I wanted to take care of. So we have, of course, the distributed COM issue. We have the time issue here. So synchronization is not working like it should. So let's check this problem with synchronization. I just need to reach to my notes. You can always check your synchronization with this command, query status. So at the moment it's set to timewindows.com, so it's the main source of synchronization is coming from timewindows.com, and I wanted to change this to my own IP address. So I wanted to change this time server. So I'm doing, of course, the configuration. I'm synchronizing manually, and manual peer list is the IP address of the time server that I want to update, which in this case is the National Institute of Standards and Technology NIST time server at Microsoft in Redmond, Washington. So I wanted to synchronize my time with this time server. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the update, and we're gonna stop and start the synchronization service. Okay, we can check the status now, if it actually worked. Maybe it just lost the configuration and it reverted. Well, it did, because I have local CMOS clock and I shouldn't have this kind of source. I should have had the IP address. So maybe once again, let's check. Of course, there's quite a lot of different time servers that you can synchronize with. It's just trial and error. If you would like to change to something different like I'm trying to do it here, you can always look upon those time servers on the internet. There's a bunch of them. Well, still CMOS clock, so I guess I would either have to revert to the Windows or I would need to find another one. Maybe I should change from the IP address to a name. I don't know, I will have to check that up. I can try to change it to the default one. Probably I typed it wrong, because between the colon and the name shouldn't be a space. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna leave it for now. I just wanted to see what's the IP address. So that's the IP address of timewindows.com. Okay, so let's just restart the server, because like I said, it can be fixed. You just need to find a valid entry. But basically this is the way to change the synchronization of time if you would like to. If you want to set it up, you don't want the default one. In a moment we're gonna check upon the rest of the issues that was there. As always, if you like my content, like, subscribe, share the videos. Okay, let's check our server manager. So we don't have the problem with time appearing, because probably it's set to CMOS clock right now, and my CMOS clock is pulling time through the bridge from my internet connection through VirtualBox. That's why there is no issue. Of course, we have the disk issue here. Like I said, when you were installing the domain controller, if you set everything up on one disk, there's the caching problem here. I can check the time once again, but it's probably still a CMOS clock, so I will need to change it. I will probably dwell on it a little bit longer. And maybe in the next video, when I'm gonna be showing how to create DHCP and how to set up DHCP and how can you actually connect computers to your domain, I will also revert back to this issue and we will correct the issue of time. So if it goes to this disk, of course, like I said before, you would need to move everything regarding the database to another disk if you don't want this issue coming up. Okay, let's check this one up. This is of course Windows Remote Management, and I think I also had something about this. So we'll need to go to CMD because it's missing like two entries, WSMan and WSMan DDR serve and DDR serve DDR local. So basically these are the two entries that are missing here. So we're gonna do set SPN -L, and as you can see there are no entries, the ones that he wants here, so we need to add those entries. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna open this window, okay, ADSE edit. We're gonna put here the name of the server. So we have here the domain controller. We have to choose domain controllers. And now we need to go to properties here. We'll go to the security tab. And what we need to do next, we need to add network service. Okay. So we're gonna add network service. And we're gonna look for validate right to service principal name. Validated. Okay, so that's it if it goes to this part. And now what we need to do, we're gonna need to run, of course, services. We need to find this remote management service and restart the service. So services. Restarting the service. And now if we check once again, we have those two entries added, WSMan and WSMan DDR serve.local. So I'm gonna clear all the entries from the event viewer. And I'm gonna restart once again the whole server. That's gonna be the last restart in this video, just to check what kind of issues will pop up after all of this. Okay, so it's loading again. Gonna check in a moment what's in the event logs. Okay, so we're back in. Let's check the server manager. Okay, all services are up. And from what I can see, we still have of course, the disk issue. The Windows remote management it's still there. So, of course, this issue still persists. This is gonna be a constant because of one disk. And even after applying the things that he required, this issue still persists, as we can see. Well, if you want to dwell on it a little bit longer and try to resolve those issues, you can of course look up on the internet. Quite a lot of info about it. Although we added the listeners, it's still showing that it wants some additional listeners to be added. Okay, well, I think I will conclude my video here because we managed to take care of most of the stuff. Of course, in the next video, I'm gonna show you how to configure DHCP, and we're gonna add a computer to the domain, and I'm gonna fix the time issue because this is very important. So, like, subscribe, and of course, if you feel like being a supporter, go for it. If you like my videos, then by all means, I will see you next time.